Today on Welsh Miniature Ball Gamer, we're going to learn how to play Mantic's Deadzone 2nd edition. First of all, we're going to have a look at stat cards. Each unit has its own stat card. In this case, we're having a look at the Enforcer Captain. In the top left, we have S for shooting, and in this case he needs 4+ in order to hit. F for fighting, which he needs 5+, and saves of 4+, which means that when he's being attacked, he can try and dodge, and he needs over 4 or more. We also have, in that small square box on the top left, his movement of 1/2. This means a short movement of 1 and a long movement of 2. I'll explain these further in the later section. We also have a shield symbol with 1. This is his armour, and this is how many wounds he can ignore when he's been shot. And below that we have his size. He's a size 1 model, meaning he can take 1 wound before he dies. On this side of the character we also have his equipment. In this case he has a pistol, which has an R3, which means a range of 3. He can shoot up to 3 spaces away. He has an energy gauntlet, which has an RF, which means a range of fighting only. He also has a knockback with his gauntlet, but I'll explain these key words later. He has a jump back, which will help him move up, and some characters will have a weapon with AP, and this weapon will allow armor penetration up to the amount that it is said to have. In other words, if it has an AP of 1, it would ignore the Enforcer Captain's armor and inflict straight on damage. On the right hand side of the stat card, we have his value in points, shown here at the top. This is for when you're making your own squads. And next to it we have how many VPs he's worth when an enemy takes him down. Below that we have some background on the model, and then we have his special rule, which will come into play whenever a Mantic splat dice is rolled. Below that we have his recon roll. At the start of a game, each player rolls a 5 dice recon test. This dice roll is compared to the recon of your leader. In this case, we see that it's a 4+ needed in order to be a success. So comparing this to the dice we rolled, anything over 4 or over is a success, so only the 2 and 3 fail. However, we also have an exploding 8, which means we roll another dice, and we get a 6, which means we have 4 successes. Our opponent rolls his dice, and we compare who has the most success. The person who has the most success gets to choose who has to deploy first, and who will be first to activate. The Enforcer team wins the recon roll and decides that they are going to take the blue zone, meaning our opponent has to deploy in the red zone. We also decide that we want to play first. We have initiative. So we look at the mission scenario in the book, and we look where we can deploy. And we'll deploy in the blue area, like so. We can pick any of the first 4 squares, so we place our miniatures in any of those squares we wish. Our opponent picks these 2 squares to place his army. Now that we know who's activating first, we have to know what actions we can perform. Each miniature can perform 2 short actions or 1 long action, but cannot repeat 2 of the same short action. So, activation is also on a I go, you go basis. I move 1 miniature, you move 1 miniature. I move 1 miniature, you move 1 miniature. Now I'll explain what actions you can perform. So action 1 is move, which is a short action, and can be seen on your stat card as the movement up on the top left, a 1 or a 2. In this case, a short movement is a 1, meaning you can move a 1 cube. So a short action can move a 1 cube in any adjacent direction, meaning we could move here, or here, or here, here, or finally we can move here. The next action we can perform is a long move. This is a long action, therefore you can't do any more than one action per turn. On the stat card for the Enforcer Captain, it shows that he can move 2 cubes for each long action he uses. So in our example, he can move here, then here, or he could move here, and then he could move through this gap because it's wide enough for him to get through. Or he could move here and then climb up to the ledge above using his second part of his movement action, like this. One limitation on movement is cube size. So you can only fit 4 models from each team in a square or a cube. The dog in this example takes up the space of 2 models, and there's already 2 models in there. Therefore, you cannot move another model from your team into that cube. An enemy, on the other hand, could move into that cube as long as he didn't have more than 4 models in size in that cube already. When moving, your position within a cube is up to you, as long as you're mostly within the cube you wish to land in. So with this miniature, he moves here, and although he's still slightly in the next cube, he's mostly in the cube he's moved into. Therefore, he can take advantage of this cover. This model decides he wants to move, and he's going to do a long move in order to get into the square with this Forge Father. Now, usually because he's done a long action, and to fight would be another long action, he wouldn't be able to do it. However, because he's ended his turn in a square with an enemy, he gets a free fight action to perform on this Forge Father. This Peacekeeper is in a square with a Forge Father. He wishes to move away. To break away, the Forge Father will be able to get a free strike against the Peacekeeper. So the Forge Father gets to roll his fight against the Peacekeeper's save roll only. The Peacekeeper cannot fight back. Shooting is a short action. This Peacekeeper wishes to shoot at the Forge Father hidden behind this barrier. He has line of sight, as we can see the Forge Father. We check the Enforcer Captain's pistol range, and as we can see under equipment we've got pistol range of 3. As seen here, the Enforcer Captain is within 3 of his target, the Forge Father, so therefore he's within range. Now looking at the stat card, we see that his shooting is a 4+, meaning he needs 4+ on each of the dice he rolls in order to hit. This shot has no modifiers, therefore you shake 3 dice to see whether the Enforcer Captain has struck his target. The Enforcer Captain rolls an 8, a 7 and a 1. Of these rolls, obviously, only an 8 and a 7 are higher than a 4+. However, the 8 is an exploding dice. Any 8s explode and you shake another dice. He shakes another 8. He's in good luck here. He shakes another dice and it's a 5, meaning he hits with 4 dice. Looking at the Forge Father's stat card, we see he has a save of 4+. So we gather 3 dice, which is the standard, and shake them. Any results of 4+ are a block. He only shakes a 1, 2 and a 5, which unfortunately means that only the 5 is large enough to block, so he has 1 block. So, comparing the successful dice rolls, the Forge Father now gets to remove one of the successes from the Enforcer Captain for his successful defense or save roll. Now we look at the Forge Father's stats, and he has an armor of 1, so he gets to ignore one more of these 3 successes that the Peacekeeper shook. So now he is taking 2 hits. Next, we look at the Forge Father again, and we see here that he's a size 1 model. So he can take another hit and he's injured. However, this leaves a further hit which is left, and that means that the Forge Father has been killed. Sometimes when shooting you'll get modifiers. These are added to the dice. In this case, the Peacekeeper gets +2 because the Forge Father is in the open. Therefore he gets 2 more dice added to his pool, but he still needs a 4+ in order to hit. In this case he has a -2 modifier because he has a friendly unit standing within the same cube as the Forge Father. So he goes down from his usual 3 to 1 dice. Now the Enforcer Captain is shooting downwards onto the Forge Father. So he has his usual 3 dice, but because he's on higher ground shooting down into the Forge Father, he would get an extra dice. And actually, because the Forge Father is in the open, he would get another 2 dice on top of that. Fight, long action. So our Enforcer Captain here wants to fight the Forge Father. So he'll have to move into combat. So he moves 1, and again he moves 2. That will be a long action. But like I mentioned before, he gets a free fight action because he's moved into a square with his Forge Father. So we look at his stat card, and here we can see his fight is 5+, meaning he needs to roll 5+ on 3 attack dice. He rolls 3 dice, and he's really lucky, and he lands 3 hits. All of these are 4+. So looking at the Forge Father's stat card, we see his fight is 5+, and his save is 4+. If he fights, he could injure the Peacekeeper Captain, but he decides he'll do save instead because he only needs 4+ on this roll. He shakes his 3 dice, and unfortunately he only manages to get 1 success out of these. Comparing the results, we see that the Peacekeeper managed to get 3 successes and the Forge Father only 1. So the Forge Father deducts his 1 success from the Peacekeeper's 3, meaning he only has 2 left. Those 2 successes, one of them is countered by the Steel Warrior Forge Father's 1 armor, leaving 1 success for the Peacekeeper. This 1 success isn't enough to kill the Forge Father, but is enough to injure him. So we put a little injury marker on him. Also, the Peacekeeper has knockback, so he manages to push the Forge Father backwards. At the start of each turn, each player gets to roll 3 command dice, plus whatever bonuses they might have from their leader, such as here, the Tactician 2 means that they get to roll 2 extra dice, meaning that this Peacekeeper Captain gets to roll 5 dice. Provided you had 50% of your starting models remaining, you may re-roll as many of these dice as you wish, but only once. This command dice allows you to move 1 extra cube when moving. So in this case, our Peacekeeper decides that he's going to do a long move. So he moves here, then here, and then with the dice he can move finally to this space. This +1 model command dice allows you to move a second model. Instead of it being I go, you go, you can move your first model like so, and then immediately you can move your second model. This dice allows you to add 1 dice to either a shoot, a fight, or a survival test of your choice. This dice can be used to have an extra shot action, so your person could move and shoot, and then use this dice to have an extra shot. This is the only way in which you can shoot twice during your turn. Or it could move long and still shoot by using this dice. In any combination, this just adds an extra shot action. Only one dice can be used to add an extra shot action. This dice allows you to have an extra fight action, like the dice before this, where you could have an extra shot. This gives you an extra fight, a melee action, which is on top of your normal actions. The final dice is the Mantic Splat. Now this will activate your army's special ability. This will be found on your leader for this team. In a standard game of a patrol mission, you can win in either two ways. 1. Getting enough VPs, or 2. Killing all your enemies. In order to gain VPs, one of your models has to be on a space where there is a VP token and hold it uncontested at the end of that turn, or by killing a model. Thereby you gain the VPs of that model's worth. Once you have reached the cap or winning condition of that mission, you have won. So this could be any combination of killing models or holding objectives. For each turn you hold the objective, you gain said number of victory points for holding it. So if you hold it for 2 turns, you'll get 2 points. If you hold it for 3 turns, you get 3 points, etc. As long as you're uncontested. Deadzone has many keywords. But to begin with, for your first few games, there's only really a few that you have to keep an eye on. These are as follows. As you can see with this Hailstorm rifle, it has AP 1. This means armor penetration 1, meaning it will ignore 1 point worth of armor. If it was AP2, it would ignore 2 points worth of armor, etc. Stat cards with rapid fire can lay down fire for effect, which allows you to shoot all your rounds as normal and your enemy having defense as normal. But if you win and have more successes in your attack, you pin any of the miniatures in that space. Pin would mean that the character drops to the floor and has to spend a short action to get up next turn. Weight of fire allows you to re-roll a missed attack. So if you shake 3 dice and only one of those dice missed, you may re-roll that 1 dice, as indicated by the number inside the brackets. So if it was weight of fire 2, you could re-roll 2 missed dice. This concludes my basic Deadzone tutorial. I hope you find it of use. Goodbye.